Welcome to Essence of Design, a popular virtual painting program brought to you by the Park Forest Public Library. My name is Kaitlyn, and I will be instructing you throughout the course of this digital workshop. Just to let you know, the video you're about to view is sped up. I do not paint that fast, so I felt the need to speed it up just so you guys weren't watching me slowly paint over the course of 2 hours. I also want to let you guys know that I pre-drew on my canvas, so please feel free to pause this video at any time to sketch out a template for yourself. Here is your reference photo that we will be painting off of in honor of Black History Month and Women's History Month. And there's my pre-sketch. In your kits, you guys have one paint marker. You either have silver or gold. It will show up over all of your paint. These are your acrylic paint sets. Everybody got the same colors. Feel free to mix them to your heart's desire. Everyone should have got 2 paintbrushes. One's skinnier, one's a little wider. And now we are good to go. So the first thing you're going to want to do, feel free to pause this video at any time so you can give yourself a reference drawing. It does not have to be perfect. You didn't have to put all the details of the eyes and whatnot like I did, but I would recommend sketching out at least where you want your face, head, hair, all that stuff to be, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and start, as you can see, painting the background. I felt like it would be easier to paint the background around the hair right now and kind of go in later with the black paint where the hair is going to be, which you'll see when the time comes. But yeah, okay, so you're going to want to do your best to paint around your image. I chose pink as my background color. You are free to do purple, yellow, pink. I would recommend avoiding the black, brown, or white for your background color because that will be the color palette that we use the most with the face and the hair, so you're not gonna want that as your background. You're gonna want to splash a color. I think yellow would actually look really nice as the background too, but I went with pink. And as you can see, I'm gonna kind of line stuff in as I go and then paint out to the edge. I also like painting the edges of my canvas. I usually do that once the entire thing is done, just so I'm not getting completely covered in whatever my background color is in terms of paint. So yeah, make sure you outline your image and then just start working towards your edges. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, am I gonna have enough paint to do this? These are very tiny paint pots. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Trust me, you do not need that much paint. It's actually a lot more beneficial to you to go light with the paint and go over with extra coats if you so desire at the end. Ensure that you at least have your base coat of background color. Do not glob that paint on. You do not need to. When it comes to acrylic, a little paint will go a long way. Now, as you can see, I'm making my way around my outline, trying to take my time. Imagine this at normal speed. This is sped up twice, so I really do take my time when I'm tracing things. So if you at all feel like I'm going too fast with this video, please, please, please feel free to pause whenever you deem it necessary. There are going to be a lot of times where I really do take my time painting. I like things to look smooth and nice, so yes, I'm a little slow with the brush. However, the end result ends up being pretty satisfying. So again, if you feel the need to pause or go back in any way to see what I've been doing, go ahead and do so. No fault of your own. All right, and I'm almost done painting that background. The parts where you kind of have to squeeze in next to the hair can be kind of difficult just because, you know, just the little details, but if you have enough paint on your brush, you can kind of fluidly sculpt around your sketch and drawing. And don't feel like you have to do everything perfect to whatever you pre-drew. If I am in the middle of painting and I do not like where I put a line, I paint over it. It's no big deal. If you put enough layers of paint, you won't see the pencil. Or if you do light enough with the pencil, you should be able to cover it with the paint. I went pretty dark with my pencil lines this time, only so you guys could see what I was doing, but I would encourage, if you can, to go as light as you can with your pencil markings. All right, so I'm finishing up that background. So let me interject and say, before you start, I'm sure you guys noticed I have paper towels down underneath my canvas. You're going to want paper towels and a water cup so you can clean your brushes. I have a lot of brushes at my disposal, as you can see in this video, so I will be using multiple brushes, but I recommend cleaning your brush as thoroughly as you can. All right, so the next step we're going to tackle is the skin and the face and the neck. So what I am doing here is I am going to outline the face right now with our base brown. I'm not going to mix any color quite yet, but we will be playing with color theory a little bit and mixing a little bit of color for this painting. So what I'm doing is I'm outlining the sides of her face, where her hair meets her face. I am outlining her eyes, her eyebrows. I actually outlined the nose a little bit because later on it will help you a bit to have the paint of the nose already kind of dried. I'll explain in a little bit though. But yeah, make sure that you're putting in that paint as evenly as you can. Try to get, I would recommend do at least the left half of the face and the chin. At one point, we will be adding a couple highlights to the skin. It'll be very subtle, but in order to do so, you are going to need to mix a little bit of paint. So what I did is I took some white paint from the top lid of my white paint pot and mixed it with the brown paint in the lid of the brown paint pot. You will see me do that in a second in the video after I have this all painted in. We are doing that to give a highlight to the skin. Now, when I was painting this, I was basing the light points and the highlights off of my reference photo. So see, as you can see, I mixed in the top lid and I am adding in the white. What you can do too is put brown paint down a little more than you normally would so it's wet, and then add a little bit of white in there just to lighten it up. That is going to give the neck highlight. Our light source is going to be on our left based off of our reference photo. So I gave the neck highlight and I'm going to give the left side of the face highlight too. So I don't know if you guys can fully tell. I'm curving out right now the jawline because I want there to be a color difference. It's very hard to see in the video right now, but while you're painting, you will be able to see it. I'm also tracing around the lips right now because we do not want those to be just brown. We're going to give those a pop of color as well. So I'm going in right now on the left cheek with the brown paint. I am going to slightly, again, not too much paint. You don't want it to be globbing or anything or too wet, but you're going to want to put a decent amount of brown paint on the left side and the left cheek like that, okay? When that paint is wet, you are going to take a little bit of white paint and in an upside down triangle shape, you're going to start blending that in. So there I am putting on my extra brown paint that I'm going to use to blend, okay? Once that brown paint is in, you're going to see me switch brushes to my tinier brush, and I'm going to dab that white into an upside down triangle and blend that out. That will give your left side of the face a little bit of lighter shade than the right. It will give you your light source, okay? So once you got that done, you can go ahead with and use your original brown brush, brown paint brush rather, to kind of even more blend that out. And I may go back in once or twice with the white paint just to make that highlight a little bit more obvious. Once you add in all the details and of the face and whatnot, everything's going to come together. So if it's looking kind of weird right now, hang in there. It'll turn out perfect, I promise. So I can see the highlights in the video from my vantage point. Hopefully you guys are able to see them too. Once you have those highlights in, you don't have to do any more highlights. So go ahead and fill in the rest of that face with the brown paint. Now, again, there are a lot of little details going on in your face right now. You have eyebrows, you have eyes, you have a nose, you have lips, you got a lot going on. You're painting a face, you know? So feel free to pause if you feel like this is going too fast. Please, please, please take your time. There's no rush. You are painting for yourself and yourself only, so you don't have to rush through this. Again, this video is sped up at 2 times the normal speed. I do not paint this fast. I am an incredibly slow painter. So we're gonna go in, as you see, I am sculpting her eyebrows. I am putting in around the eyes. I'm putting in more brown paints. I'm gonna start fine tuning those details that I have. And then I'm gonna go in and finish up that nose. Now, because the paint's already kind of dried in the nose right now, this new layer will dry later than the original one. So later on, when we come back to do the details in the face, there will be brush strokes that kind of show where my nose sketch originally was, so I can go in there and fix that up if I like. Okay, so our next step is gonna be our lips. The key to making a natural looking lip or a lip color that doesn't look crazy is to mix some of your skin tone with the color you're going for. So I took purple paint and put it in the lid of the pink paint pot, and then mixed a little bit of brown in there too. You want it to look kind of purpley, pinkish, mauvish, if you will, and then just a smidge of brown just to give it more of a natural tone, okay? Now, based off of the video, you probably can't see the lips as well as you can in the finished product. However, we were going to outline them, so they will pop a little bit more. I'm also going to use the color that we just made to give our painting her eyeshadow. If you want to, you can do any color eyeshadow. If you want to do yellow, pink, purple, if you want to mix the colors, however your heart desires, you are more than welcome to. I just did it so it would match the lipstick. So once you have that in, you can go ahead and give the lips another coat if you so desire. I would recommend it just so you can make sure that color pops. Make sure you are cleaning your brushes between colors. After you get the lips done, you can go ahead and go in with the eyes. Now, I usually paint the whole eye white, and then I'm gonna go in with the other colors once it's dry, just so you have a bright white eye to go off of. So paint both of the whites of those eyes, paint them both through. Once you have the white in, you're going to want to go in with your eye color. Now, me personally, I took the brown and I put a little bit of black in it, just to give it a little bit of a darker hue. You can put white in the brown to give it a brighter hue. You can also mix yellow with it to give it more of like a goldenish, brownish hue. Whatever you prefer, that's entirely up to you. If you want to give your painting purple eyes, you can too. It's all up to you, as I've already said a couple times. But so once you have the eyes in, the white of the eyes in, you can go ahead in with the darker color. I also went in and touched up my eyeshadow after I put the white in, just so I could make sure it was even on both sides. Sometimes colors do go over other colors. That's the joy of acrylic paint though. Once it's dry, it's very buildable. So you can go over all your colors with any color. All right, so once you've mixed your colors for your eyes, go ahead and go in and make the eye color. Once you have the eye color in, you're gonna go on top of that as well with black. You can also give your eyes highlights. I'll do a very subtle little white dot in the eyes just to give it some depth. You'll see that in the finished product more so than you will now. I know it's kind of small because it's not super zoomed in, but you'll see that in the finished product. So as you can see, I am coloring in those eyes right now. I was explaining a little ahead of myself, but I wanted to make sure I could elaborate on color mixing and whatnot. So I went with brown eyes, mainly because the reference photo had them, and then I also have brown eyes, so thought it would be easy. So go ahead and put that color in, and then you can add in your pupils, which is going to be with black paint. And then also too, I realized, as you can see here, that maybe my eyebrows weren't so centered and maybe were a little lopsided. Go ahead and fix those if you'd like to do that too. Since we haven't really painted those in yet, we aren't committed to whatever's on there yet, so you're okay. If your eyebrows look good right now on your painting, you don't even have to touch them. It was just something I noticed after putting the paint in. You will notice a couple things too after you put the paint into some things. It's like, ooh, I need to go back and fix that, or ooh, I made that too big. You can fix that. Acrylic is buildable, like I stated a little bit earlier, so it can be fixed. I'm going in now with the black and the pupils. And then once that's a little more dry, you'll see me go in with the white. But since I'm working with the black now, I'm going to paint in my eyebrows. You can paint them into your hair because you are going to paint the hair last. It's going to cover everything. So if you make any mistakes into the hair, it's okay. They will be covered. So I'm going to do that right eyebrow. And like I said too, if you want to make them a little thicker than you drew them, that's totally fine because that black paint will build over that brown paint. So we're going to go ahead and go in now. After we clean our brushes, make sure you're cleaning your brush. I know you guys don't all have the same amount of brushes as me, so I feel free to pause in order to do that. And then make sure you're changing out your water too. You are using a lot of dark colors, so your water will get dirty very fast. This was one of the most satisfying parts of this painting for me, was putting in the hair. I love using black paint, especially black paint with coverage like this has. It covered everything so nicely. You do not need a lot of the black paint. A little will go a long way, again, as I stated with the background colors. But you're gonna use that black paint to color in your painting's hair. And then go ahead and do that. And again, too, you can kind of clean up your edges of your hair, and like with the background, that pink that I have in there, it looks so much cleaner when you go over with that black paint. It looks nice and smooth. It's perfect. I love it. And it was very satisfying painting in that black paint. You'll also find a lot of satisfaction in painting in the details of the face. When you finally get to put in the nose details and the subtle highlights and just the little lines that you didn't know you needed, it's really gonna bring your picture together. So again, too, if you feel like this is going too fast, feel free to pause. If you think this hair portion I'm doing right now is going too slow, which, hey, you might, because I do paint slow. Feel free to fast forward to the hair being done, but make sure that you pay attention when we start talking about the face, because I will include a couple tips and tricks in there to make that a little bit easier for you. All right, and we're going in with that hair. Now the hair is probably the biggest portion of the painting, so it's probably going to take you the longest. I think the only saving grace is that it's a very open area to paint, and you don't have to be that precise with the insides of it, just the edges really. So maybe that will be a little faster for some of you. Again, I paint slow, so sorry. But it was very satisfying to put all these pieces in and then go ahead and paint over it. So, and then I'm sure you guys can already see this in the reference photo, but we will be drawing on our hair. Well, not necessarily drawing, more so writing. We will be writing some positive affirmation and words on our hair today once we're done with the details of the face. I'm gonna save that for last, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but that is actually what you're going to be using your metallic paint marker for. I will give you guys a warning. The metallic paint markers are very, very, very strongly scented. So if paint or nail polish remover or any kind of scent like that bothers you, you may want to open a window, turn a fan on, and write incredibly quickly because it is a very strong scent. However, they work beautifully, so I really hope you guys like them. right, so we're almost done with the hair. So we'll get that going. And I don't know if you guys are starting to see your image come to life a little bit more. I think putting in this hair really just changed the game when I was painting this. You guys saw my pre-sketch, and I was not that confident in it, to be honest with you. I'm like, man, this is not looking like the reference how I'd like it to. You gotta remember when you sketch something that you don't have any of your shadows in, you don't have any of your contrast with your colors, you haven't done any of that yet. So it is gonna look kind of crazy sometimes before you actually get your paint in. I was so satisfied after I put the hair color in. The confidence that was exuding from me at that point was just unmatchable. I was just very pleased with how this started to look once I finally got this dark paint in. So I'm hoping that you guys are also having this same effect and that the further you get into your painting, the more you're enjoying how it's looking, or the more you're enjoying this experience. So, all right, looks like we are almost done with that hair finally. So please, 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 before you even touch those metallic markers, make sure that your hair is dry. If you notice any spots that after it's dry that need to be touched up, you can go ahead and do that, no worries. But just please make sure that's dry before you put any of that metallic paint on. So I'm gonna take our skinniest brush and I'm going to dab it ever so slightly with that black paint. Or wait, actually no, we are gonna mix the brown paint with the black paint ever so slightly. And then you're going to put the smallest amount possible on your brush to lightly outline your nose. So you're gonna have the two little edges of your nose, you're gonna have your nostrils, and you're gonna have that nose line in between the eyes, as you can see on mine. You don't want that in black because it's gonna be so contrasted. So if you mix a little bit of black paint with some brown paint, it'll be just dark enough to give you that subtle, almost like shadow look. And then I also did what we did before with our highlights for the face, I'm doing with the nose. So get that tip of your nose, like the button nose part, get that saturated with brown paint, add a little bit of white paint and blend that out just so you can give your nose a slight highlight, okay? It'll make it look more, I know this is more of a cartoon animated drawing, but it's gonna make it look slightly more realistic and believable, I feel, if you have that subtle highlight. You can also take either black paint or the dark brown paint. I'm gonna do the dark brown paint, but I'm going to end up outlining the chin line and the jawline of our face. So you can see more of a, a contrast between the face and the neck, okay? And then you can also take that brown color and you can line the lips with it. You can also use black. I chose to do the brown with the lips because I didn't need it to be that contrasted. I just wanted to make sure it was outlined so you could see that the lips were a different color. So once you do that, again, you are gonna wanna take the slightest little bit of paint. You don't need too much, and you want it just on the very tip of that brush. Be very light with your painting. You don't have to have too strong of a hand with it. You wanna be light and fluid with it, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it to outline the best that you can. And then once you have those lips outlined, we're gonna tackle the eyes. Now I'm going to outline the entire eye. First, I'm gonna add a couple eyelashes to it. I'm gonna just do it on the ends of the eyes. You don't have to have it going across the whole eye because it might end up looking a little crazy if you do that with how we're doing these eyes. I recommend just putting them on the edges, make them a little fluttery, you know, use that tip of that skinny brush if you can. And then once you have those in, use that brush to outline like the water line, if you will, of your eye, the bottom portion of the eye. It kind of looks like it's eyeliner then, so it's kind of like, oh, it's intentional, but we're also gonna use that black paint as an outline to make your eyes pop in this painting. So it's always the subtle little things that you don't know you need until you put them in that really bring your painting to life. So go ahead and put those outlines in on that face. I'm also going to use this brush to touch up any of the little details like the eyebrows or anything that I feel like I need to do. This is the time to do that. And then now I'm going to go in with our tiny brush and I'm going to add little highlights to the eyes. You just literally want to add like the tiniest little circle in the eyes with the white paint. They don't have to be huge or anything, just little subtle like eye highlights, okay? Just give it a little bit more depth. And then the last thing we're going to do with our paint palette is add a necklace, as you can see in our reference photo, to the bottom of our painting. So I went ahead and did yellow on the top layer, and then I did a bottom layer of yellow as well. And then you'll see me go in with purple and pink. You guys can do whatever you want. I just really copied the reference photo in this sense, just because I thought that looked nice and simple and minimalist, but it also gave you another pop of color added to the painting. But I think you can do it however you'd like. If you have painting skills like that and you want to actually add some sort of intricate jewelry there, you totally can. If you don't want a necklace at all, you don't have to put one there either. It's totally up to you. I'm just keeping true to our reference photo the best I can and adding that in there. So the next thing that we're going to do once our hair is dry, as you can see, is use our paint marker. So give it a good shake and then press it down once while it's upright and then press it down a couple more times to get that paint flowing, okay? You are going to see the silver paint coming out of the felted tip on it. That's when you know it'll be ready to go. I chose a couple of the words I saw on the reference photo to start writing into the hair. I did not sketch out where I was going to put these words. I just decided, you know what, we're going to pick words and that we're going to hopefully fit them in however we have to fit them, okay? So my first selection was queen, fit that right in on the top. My next word choice was phenomenal. This may be a slightly difficult one for some of you to do just because depending on how you drew your hair and stuff, it may not fit how you want it to. I do stuff like this kind of often, so I wasn't too worried about fitting it. I'm sure watching it, you're like, oh my goodness, are you even going to be able to do this? Yes, spoiler alert, I can. But you can pick any words you want. You can put them however you'd like to put them on the hair. You don't have to do them as big as I do. You don't have to do them in the same font I do. You can do them in cursive. You can do them however you want. Everyone should have received either a silver or a gold metallic paint marker. So I'm using silver here. If you got the gold, I would love to see how it ended up looking with the entire image. So if you guys painted this and want to share it with us so we can post it on our Instagram or our social media sites, or just so I can see how it turned out, feel free to email me at the end of your painting process. I would love to see your finished work. Okay, so I'm going in with a couple more words, trying to keep it consistent. We're going to do 2 on top, 2 on the sides, and on each side. So 2 on the left and 2 on the right. With the sides for me, sorry about that. For the sides, for me, for this particular painting, I feel like it was a little difficult because, you know, I write kind of big. I'm trying to make it thick. I want it to be readable, but I also wanted to fill the area. Be mindful of the words that you're going to choose. Some words are just too big to put in these designated areas. Also, be mindful that if you do not wait for your hair to dry, there is a chance that you will have things smear. There's a chance that you could get black paint on the pink. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I did that a little, ever so slightly on the right side of my canvas. So hopefully you guys don't have the same problem and you don't rush through this and get smears everywhere like I did. But I think you can salvage that. You can build pink paint above it or whatever your background color was. If you do have any smudges, don't fret, it'll be okay. So the open spots, once I fit all my words in, I put a couple polka dots, I put some hearts, I just kind of filled it where it looked kind of empty so it didn't look so gapingly blank on the hair. And then I just added a couple polka dots to even that out. Once you've added all your desired designs to your hair, you are good to go and finished. Go ahead and sign your artwork, and boom, you have your completed canvas painting. And that concludes this month's Essence of Design virtual workshop. Essence of Design is brought to you from the Park Forest Public Library. I'm Kaitlyn, and I am your instructor. Thank you for tuning in this time with us. I hope you very much enjoyed learning how to paint this painting. If you are interested in additional painting workshops, tune into our next Essence of Design class that will be taking place in mid-March. To register for Essence of Design, visit www.pfpl.org and check out our calendar. We hope to see you at future virtual workshops. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.